Respected seniors on the dais, the friends and colleagues from the services and the stakeholders present here, a very good morning to all of you. As we all have gathered here for this two-day National Revenue Summit that the government of Rajasthan is organizing in collaboration with Elets, as the tagline itself of the event suggests, boosting economic growth through effective revenue management. So I believe we all have gathered here to share our success stories, best practices, and the case studies to move towards a better tax administration, enhanced revenue collection, improved resource allocation, and ultimately reach the goals of higher economic growth. So the idea here is, if I put it in three simple words, it is to connect, share, and grow. So there's this small presentation that I'm going to share with you, which is basically on the state of Rajasthan, but it goes on to show largely the basic contributors of economy or the revenue collection of any state and the significance each of it has and the relevance of improvisation and revenue augmentation in these sectors. We will not be delving in detail right now because they will be gradually a part of our discussion through these 2 days as we discuss various topics. So in the first slide, we're just talking about the important divisions that are part of the finance in any state. And as we can see, the revenue collection becomes a very important aspect. Before we allocate our resources, we need to collect them first. And as we can see, this is the revenue collection of the state of Rajasthan, which was for the financial year 22-23, 1,07,911 crores. This is excluding the GST compensation. If we look at the breakup of this revenue collection that the state had, we can see that commercial taxes is one of the biggest contributor for the state revenues, followed by excise and then registration and stamps. So it becomes very clear that for any state, these three departments are very crucial for any kind of revenue management. Coming further, this is a comparison of revenue receipts over 3 years by these different sectors. We can see there has been a growth, a steady growth in all these, and we have to look at this in the presentation. So, as we were discussing the major contributors for the revenue of the state, we can see that commercial taxes department contributes perhaps more than 50%, and I presume this will be the situation in most states, rather all states I should say, followed by excise department and then registration and stamps. So it becomes very crucial to have an integrated revenue management system for the state to augment its revenue from these major resources. And it is also noteworthy that for all states, the tax revenue is always more than non-tax revenue. So it's important to have a better revenue management at place. This is a comparative study of revenue receipts from various sectors of the economy. There has been a gradual growth in all sectors. This has to also be seen in the light of the 2-3 years that were affected by COVID. So, despite that, there has been a gradual increase, and I believe in the years to come, the things will change for better. And these are the comparative analysis of the non-tax revenues. Now, coming to the commercial tax department, as we had already seen, it amounts for like 65% of the state's revenue. So it is perhaps the key sector where any state would focus for better revenue management. Here, as we can see, this is a comparison between pre-GST and post-GST scenarios in the states. From this graph that is there on the screen, we can see that in a lot of states, there was an increase in taxes after GST. However, there are a few states which show actually a decrease. So there are 2 points to be noted in this. One is that with GST, there was a rationalization of tax rates in all states. And secondly, it also goes on to show that GST is a consumption-based tax. And that is why in some states there is a sudden shoot up in the tax revenues. Coming to revenue augmentation through digital transformation. For a any comprehensive approach towards revenue management, it has to be integrated. The various revenue streams must talk to each other and there should be a data sharing. That is why we also have this integrated commercial taxes management system. And in the modern day scenario, data analytics becomes a very important aspect for any sector in the government. Given the scale of things that we have in this government, data analytics and automation is a very important aspect. These issues we will also discuss further in the later sessions. An important thing I would like to highlight here is two initiatives by the state. One is e-tax officer and the next is tax mitra. These are two very innovative steps taken by the state. In e-tax officer, we are providing a sort of wizard facility for a self-tax assessment for the assessees. And Tax Mitra is trying to empanel the commerce graduates and the professionals in the field to assist the upcoming businesses in their accounting and filing of returns at reasonable prices, if I can use the word. And this will also provide an opportunity for the youth who are still rising in the field to get a hand at the sector and learn the businesses. This is just to flaunt the upcoming infrastructure of the state. We have this new taxpayer facilitation center coming up in Jhalana, which is going to be a state-of-the-art building where we will be housing our entire ICTMS infra. Coming to registration and stamps, though it is not a priority at a lot of times, but it still is an important contributor to the state revenues. And it is also a sector where a lot of automation still needs to be done. So, because as we can see, there are three channels of stamps at present: e-stamping, e-grass, and the physical stamps. So, this is another sector which requires a lot of digital transformation for revenue augmentation. And in this case, I will like to highlight two initiatives taken by the state. One is auto deed system, wherein the e-punching software, e-punching portal will provide the end users auto-created deeds where you only have to fill the fields. So it reduces the middleman, creates ease of doing business, and it also helps in plugging leakages. Next is the Rajasthan initiative, wherein we are providing a more smooth version of using online stamps. And this will go a long way in shifting 100% to digital stamps. And another feature which is in pipeline in the state is registration from home, or what we can say anywhere registration. The idea is if I want to sell my property, I should be able to do it while sitting in the comfort of my house. The process should be totally online and secure. So we have already also passed the legislations regarding it. They are pending at the level of presidential assent, and other changes that were required has been made. So we presume this will go a long way in changing the way we look at the entire registration itself. These are other initiatives that relate to rationalizing the stamps in registration sector. In this, one important aspect I would like to highlight is, as we can see, point number 2, third-party site inspection. This is another innovation done by the state of Rajasthan, where we are empaneling third-party Mauka Nirikshaks, what we call. The idea is to empanel the unemployed but technically qualified youth to act as Mauka Nirikshaks. So if somebody wants a quicker inspection of the site to seal the registry as fast as possible, they can choose for a third-party Mauka Nirikshak, pay the nominal fee that is assigned for it, and get the registration completed at a faster speed. These are some other initiatives related with registration which will be dealt later in the sessions that we have. Coming to the excise department. Excise again is a major contributor for the economy in any state, and there are various aspects of it, not just the regulation of the sale but the production and the transport. Everything has to be properly monitored, and for that in the state we are trying to come up with SCADA system to leverage technology for monitoring and controlling the manufacturing of the excise products. We have tried to simplify the fee structures, the track and trace methods, and Rajasthan is one of the few states which also manufactures. The idea is both to avoid unauthorized liquor as well as spurious. These are the major principles which go through, perhaps which are the guiding lights for revenue administration and digital transformation for any state. And if I can say, to sum it up, the idea is to have a more integrated system. To have interaction across sectors. What happens in one sector of the economy should reflect at every other place. This is the only way we can prevent leakages and we can have better compliance. The last slide we have kept for the Rajasthan Investment Promotion Scheme 2022, as we call it RIPS 22. This is one of the most ambitious investment schemes, I believe, in anywhere in the country. In this scheme, so far, we have had investment proposals of more than 1 lakh crore and more than 3,000 entitlement certificates have been issued. The only purpose of putting this slide was that till we have investment, we cannot have economic growth. And the idea of revenue management is incomplete unless we aspire for revenue growth itself. In our scheme this time, the most interesting part was that we provide choice to the investors to choose their bouquet of incentives. And we have 3 kinds of asset creation incentives this time. It is not just SGST reimbursement, that is the usual method, but we also give choice for capital subsidy or turnover linked incentives. These are other special incentives that we have included this time in our RIPS 22, which it has employment booster, green incentives, cluster incentives, trade subsidy, training incentives, and we have tried to cover all sectors of the economy, the sunrise sectors, renewable energy, manufacturing, services, and try to broaden the definition to benefit as many investors as possible. This is our state-of-the-art Center of Excellence for Revenue Research and Analytics. This is already functioning. As you can see, that is the picture of our knock room, and it is one of the best infra one can find for integrated revenue management. So I would also request the people here to, if they find time, to do visit this center. Thank you.